Have you ever paused to look at your own life, your work, your bank account balance, and felt that heavy feeling in your chest, as if something was telling you that prosperity isn't for you? As if deep down, a quiet voice kept whispering, "I don't deserve this, I can't do this, I wasn't born for this." Many people live trapped behind this invisible, yet very real veil, which prevents them from seeing their own potential. And the most curious thing is that, more often than not, they don't even realize the cause isn't their job, an economic crisis, lack of time, or missed opportunities, but a belief planted in childhood, the belief of unworthiness. This is where it all begins, because before life can say yes to you, you need to stop saying no to yourself. And I know what it's like to live with that feeling. I know what it's like to wake up believing you're worthless, that you have no talent, that your future is predetermined, and it's bleak. I know because I've been exactly there. When I was young, I had no prospects whatsoever. None. I wasn't good in school. I lacked discipline. I saw no talent in myself. I dropped out of my studies early, then bounced from job to job, gas stations, mechanic shops, random odd jobs with no real direction. I had no ambition, lived within a small limited mindset, and deeply believed that success was something that happened to other people. Better people, smarter people, people who were born for it. And perhaps today you feel that way. You look around and see people prospering, growing, buying homes, traveling, living with ease, and you ask yourself, why them and not me? Where did I go wrong? And more importantly, why do so many people feel that money is for a select few, happiness is for others, and the good life is a privilege of those born into it? Because most people received silent yet devastating messages from an early age. It's not for you. Don't dream big. Money is for the rich. Those who reach too high eventually fall. Happiness is dangerous. It's as if we grew up learning more about limits than about possibilities. And this shapes your self-image. And your self-image always wins. No one wins on the outside until they've won on the inside. When you look in the mirror and don't see value, the world will reflect that exact image back to you. Prosperity isn't in the bank first, it's in the mind first. Psychological studies show that a large number of people, even when given a real opportunity to prosper, emotionally sabotage themselves because they don't believe they deserve it. A study published by Harvard University observed that people with a low sense of financial self-worth tend to avoid promotions, charge less for their services, decline opportunities, and fear earning more. Have you ever noticed that many people lose before they even try? And often it's not due to a lack of ability, but an overabundance of doubt. How many times have you let a chance pass by because you thought you weren't good enough? How many times did you not ask for a raise because you thought, my boss will think it's ridiculous? How many times did you fail to charge for your work because you feared being judged? I did that for years. Until one day, someone gave me a book that changed my life, Think and Grow Rich. I confess I didn't grasp everything I read, but I understood the main point. My results weren't small because life was difficult, but because my view of myself was limited. There I discovered something I never forgot. Everything changes when your self-image changes, and perhaps you need to hear this today too. Maybe life isn't denying you prosperity. Perhaps you are denying yourself prosperity, and I want you to think about this honestly. When was the last time you truly believed you deserved a big life? When did you wake up saying, today I'm going to make life notice me? Are you living the life you desire, or the life you believe you deserve? And I'm going to tell you something that might hurt, but it's transformative. Most people don't fail in life. They simply stop at a level far below what they're capable of. And you can change that, I know you can, because if I managed to go from being a hopeless young man without a diploma, doing jobs for a few dollars a week, to building a multi-million-dollar life with no inheritance, no luck, no shortcuts, you can too. You don't need to be someone different. You just need to start seeing who you truly are. The world will only give you what you accept to receive. And accepting less than you deserve is the first sign that your prosperity begins within you. When I started to change my life, I realized something that many people never do. We are trained to think small. From an early age, we hear phrases like, money doesn't buy happiness. Those who want too much often get hurt. It's better to have a little with security than a lot with risk. And without realizing it, these phrases become mental programs. And mental programs generate results. You never see someone with a scarcity mindset living in abundance. And often, the prison isn't in your wallet. It's in your mind. People think the problem is a lack of opportunity. It's not. It's a lack of internal permission. It's fear of growing. It's guilt over prospering. It's the belief that wealth only happens to those with luck, rich families, connections, a diploma, or something they never had. But the truth is, prosperity doesn't choose people. Prosperity chooses mindset. And I discovered this the hard way. I remember a specific moment when I was a firefighter, waking up early, constantly tired, earning a few dollars a month, and feeling invisible. I saw motivated co-workers, others buying homes, some talking about plans, trips, investments, and I felt small. Not small due to a lack of physical ability, but small because my self-image was minimal. One day I stopped, looked at myself and thought, what decisions have I made that brought me exactly to this point? That changes everything. Because when you accept that no one gets where they are without their own participation, you discover that you too can choose another path. At that moment, I still didn't know how to do it, but I knew that continuing as I was would be a life sentence. And perhaps you are at that moment now. Perhaps you know you can do more, but you don't know where to start. Perhaps you wake up every day believing you were born to survive, not to thrive. And let me tell you something clear. If you feel that your life isn't where it should be, that feeling is already proof that your soul is calling you to a higher level. But there's a problem. Most people don't know how to act because they've never learned to think. They only react. They wake up, pay bills, work, solve problems, go to sleep, and repeat it all the next day. And they call that living. But that's survival. True living is when you take the wheel, when you decide where you want to go, when you understand that prosperity begins as an image in your mind and then becomes reality in the physical world. Today, in fact, research shows that people with clear goals are much more likely to achieve high levels of income, emotional well-being, and mental health than those who live without direction. A massive corporate world study showed that professionals who consciously record their objectives increase their chances of achieving them by more than 70%. Now I ask, do you have clear goals or just vague wishes? And this is where many get stuck. They want to earn more, but they don't define how much. They want a better life, but they don't describe what it looks like. They want freedom, but they spend their lives saying, I don't have time, as if time was something that should be left over for them to then live. It doesn't work that way. Life rewards those who make a decision, and a decision isn't thinking. A decision is acting even with fear. I remember when I decided to quit the fire department. No one understood. Some laughed, others thought it was arrogant. I myself almost gave up a few times. But there was something inside me saying, if you stay here, your life will be over before it even begins. I had no formal education, no experience, no money saved, but I had a decision. And a decision weighs more than a diploma. And that decision led me to open my first business. And that business, in its first year, gave me more than an entire year's salary from previous years. And it wasn't luck. It was a shift in identity. Many people look at big names in success and think they had advantages I don't. Let me tell you about someone, Jim Carrey. Before he was famous, he was poor, lived with his family in a trailer, suffered from depression, and spent nights silently gazing at the sky. One day he decided to write a check for $10 million to himself, dated for 5 years in the future. He kept it in his pocket, and every day he visualized himself not as who he was, but as who he wanted to become. Do you know what happened? 5 years later, he received exactly that amount for the movie Dumb and Dumber. He changed his self-image before changing his reality. He didn't wait for the world to believe in him. He believed in himself first. This isn't coincidence. This is law. You receive what you believe you deserve. Now, if you're enjoying this content, please click like and subscribe to the channel. This isn't just to help the video. It's what keeps this channel alive, bringing more teachings, more reflections, and more powerful content like this. Every like, every subscription, every share tells the platform that this content transforms people. And when more people find it, more lives change. So if this video is already making you think differently, leave your support now. And I want to offer you a small challenge. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take a piece of paper and write down what your life would be like if you truly believed you deserved to prosper. Not how it is today, but how it could be. And for 7 consecutive days, read it aloud every morning. You'll be amazed at the difference this makes. Because when your mind shifts, your world shifts with it. When someone believes they don't deserve to prosper, they don't just act like someone constrained. They begin to create a world around them that validates this very limitation. It's as if you put a blurry lens over your eyes and start seeing only problems, obstacles, lack, and scarcity. Science impressively confirms this. Studies in cognitive psychology show that when the human brain is trained to believe an idea, it starts filtering reality to find evidence supporting that very idea. In other words, if you believe the world is difficult, unfair, if you believe money is scarce, that prosperity is almost impossible, your brain will seek to confirm this every single day. That's why so many people exert themselves, work hard, struggle, and still get nowhere. It's not a lack of effort. It's the kind of effort. Because when your mind is programmed for scarcity, it makes you expend an enormous amount of energy just to stay in the same place. That's why so many people wake up early, work all day, put in overtime, but still complain that life isn't moving forward. Have you ever seen someone like this? Perhaps it's even you. Bills pile up, money runs out, the month drags on, and the person repeats, "I can't do it, it's not for me, that's just how life is." How many times have you found yourself accepting crumbs because you believed you had no other option? How many times have you turned down an opportunity because you thought you weren't ready, weren't good enough, or that it wasn't your place? Now imagine the impact of this over 10 years, 20 years, an entire lifetime. You believe you don't deserve it, and life obeys. I remember a time when I would see successful people and react with that mix of admiration and frustration. I'd think, how do they do it? What do they have that I don't? And one day I realized they don't have something different, they are something different. They think differently, feel differently, see themselves differently. And everything changes when you change how you see yourself. Prosperous people act as if they are already prosperous, even before the results appear. They speak differently, walk differently, make different decisions. People who don't believe they deserve it hesitate. They doubt. They procrastinate. And procrastination is the most silent form of giving up. There's a well-known study in the field of behavioral economics that shows people afraid of earning more tend to sabotage their professional performance. They decline invitations, don't apply for better positions, fail to negotiate salaries, and often produce less than they could just to avoid drawing attention. Do you realize the magnitude of this impact? The person doesn't lose because they can't. They lose because they believe they shouldn't. And that belief creates real results. Great public figures have also experienced this. Oprah Winfrey has shared that she grew up hearing that people like her had no place at the top, that a woman who was black and poor should stay where she was. And do you know what happened? She started believing it in childhood. But at a certain point, she made a different decision. I belong where my dreams take me. And when she changed that idea, the world made space for her. Her story isn't about luck. It's about internal permission. When you change the image you have of yourself, the entire universe begins to respond. Now stop and think, what image do you have of yourself today? Do you see yourself as capable, talented, valuable, or as someone just trying to balance so you don't fall? When you look at your results, do they align more with someone who believes in success or someone trying to survive? Be honest. This answer might be painful, but it can also be liberating. Because everything begins when you recognize that your outer life is a reflection of your inner life. You attract what you believe you deserve. If you believe you deserve little, little will come. If you believe you deserve the best will begin to be attracted. Not because some magic happens, but because your behavior changes. People who believe they deserve to prosper make decisions that build that prosperity. People who believe they don't deserve it turn down opportunities before they even appear. And if you're open, I want to propose one more challenge. For the next 7 days, every time an opportunity arises, no matter how small, ask yourself, what would someone who believes they deserve to prosper do right now? And then do it. It might be asking for a raise. It might be charging a fair amount for your work. It might be sending that resume that's been sitting in your drawer for months. It might be studying something new. It might simply be accepting a compliment without diminishing yourself. This simple exercise begins to reprogram the mind, because behavior shapes identity just as much as identity shapes behavior. Most people live for years waiting to feel confident enough to act. The secret is exactly the opposite. You act and confidence follows. When I left the fire department, I was terrified. But if I had waited for courage to arrive first, I'd still be there today. Life rewards those who decide, not those who wait. And you've waited long enough. The best day to change was yesterday. The second best day is today. There's a point in the journey where a person starts to realize it's not money that's missing, it's permission. The person might even say they want to prosper, but internally they feel guilt, fear, shame, or doubt. It's like someone driving with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake simultaneously. And this internal conflict exhausts, tires, wears them down, and creates the feeling that no matter how hard they try, they never get anywhere. Have you ever felt this way? Working hard, pushing yourself, giving your all, and still feeling like you're going in circles. This isn't a coincidence. A large portion of people aren't fighting against life, they're fighting against themselves. Modern psychology calls this cognitive dissonance, when what you want and what you believe you're destined to have come into conflict. For example, you want to earn more money, but you believe you don't deserve it. You desire a better life, but you feel guilty when you imagine yourself prospering. You want to be successful, but a small thought tells you that's for other people. Guess which side wins? The deeper side. Human decisions are governed more by beliefs than by desires. Desire is conscious, belief is emotional, and emotion always wins. This is what explains why so many people work themselves to death and still remain trapped in a pattern of scarcity. They change their effort, but not the root, and when the root is programmed for little, the fruit can never be great. I remember facing this dilemma when I started my first business. I was earning more in 1 month than I previously earned in half a year. It was exciting, but also terrifying. I remember in the first few months looking at that money coming in, a part of me felt uncomfortable. I thought, am I going too fast? Do I really deserve this? I had never dealt with prosperity before. I had been poor my entire life. And, almost automatically, I started sabotaging my results. I became less bold, less creative, less aggressive in business, because my self-image hadn't yet adjusted to my new world. And this happens to millions of people. A very interesting study from the University of Chicago found that many professionals, upon reaching a higher income level than their family's historical standard, unconsciously begin to sabotage themselves to return to emotional balance. It's as if their mind says, too much money doesn't fit who you are. And then, without realizing it, the person starts to postpone decisions, accept less than they deserve, avoid risk, diminish their own voice, and, in extreme cases, even lose opportunities that were already guaranteed. Have you ever seen someone like this? A promotion denied because the person was afraid to lead. A company with enormous potential that didn't grow because the owner was afraid to charge more. An excellent professional who never positioned themselves as they should have. It's tough, but it's real. It's not enough to have talent. It's not enough to have knowledge. It's not enough to have opportunity. You need an internal image compatible with the destiny you want to build. Without that, everything crumbles sooner or later, and history shows this clearly. Have you witnessed what happened to many celebrities who became famous too young? They had fame, money, multi-million-dollar contracts, global recognition, but they lacked the emotional structure to sustain that reality. Britney Spears is an example of this. An entire life exposed to success, millions of dollars earned, but inside the weight was greater than their internal image could bear. The result? Public crises, emotional blocks, impulsive decisions, loss of control over their own life. This proves something. It's not money that destroys or builds, it's the level of consciousness that accompanies the money. When life grows faster than the mind, the person breaks. When the mind grows faster than life, life follows. Now I want to ask you a simple but powerful question. What kind of life could you emotionally sustain today? Not the one you desire, but the one your self-image would allow. If tomorrow you were to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars, how would you behave? A mind accustomed to little gets lost in abundance, but a mind prepared for abundance transforms every cent into multiplication. Prosperity begins in thought first, then in result. Look around. How many people do you know who say, "If I just had more money, my life would be solved"? Yet when they finally receive a larger sum, a bonus, compensation, an inheritance, a severance package, all the money vanishes within weeks or months. Why? Because they haven't changed internally. Life always reflects back the emotional value we believe we hold. If you believe you're worth little, when you receive a lot, you'll find a way to return to what feels familiar. It's uncomfortable, I know, but it's the truth. And that's why I always say don't chase more money until you become the person who knows how to handle it. Not because you're incapable, but because you deserve to keep what you achieve. And for that to happen, you need to learn to tell yourself, "I deserve to prosper." Say it until you believe it, because when you believe, the world starts treating you differently. You'll walk differently, make different decisions, attract different environments. And then, for the first time, your life will cease to be a consequence and begin to be a creation. There comes a moment when a person finally understands that prosperity isn't something you conquer, it's something you allow. Most people spend their entire lives fighting, striving, wearing themselves out trying to achieve what would only happen if they changed internally. Prosperity isn't born from work first, it's born from identity. When I was younger, that was the hardest lesson to learn. I used to believe that getting rich was about physical effort, hours worked, sweat, exhaustion, pain. After all, that's what I saw since childhood. Good, honest, hard-working, dedicated people who were poor. I'd look at my family and think, if hard work were enough, everyone here would be rich. And it was only after a long time that I realized the problem was never a lack of effort. It was the belief that accompanied that effort. Because working hard while feeling small only leaves you exhausted. What truly transforms you is working with your mind aligned with the destiny you wish to live. Many people wonder why, even after years of trying, they still can't prosper. And the answer, most often, isn't external. It lies in a deep-seated belief, often stemming from childhood, from parents, teachers, or painful experiences. I am not enough. Money is dangerous. If I prosper, someone will suffer. People who get rich change for the worse. These phrases are stored in the subconscious as truths, and the subconscious has a curious characteristic. It doesn't argue with you, it simply executes. If it believes that prospering puts you at risk, it will protect you by keeping you where you are. Because for it, stagnation is safety. Neuroscience already demonstrates that deep-seated beliefs create neural patterns that control behavior, emotional responses, and automatic decisions. In other words, it's not enough to intellectually understand that prospering is good. You need to feel it as an inner truth. That's why when someone changes their self-image, everything else starts to change with it. A person who sees themselves as a winner acts like a winner even before victory. When I began studying the human mind, I discovered something that would change my life and the lives of millions of people thereafter. You will never have more than you believe you deserve. Nothing, absolutely nothing, enters someone's life if it doesn't first fit within that person's self-image. And when that realization hits, a lot changes quickly. I've seen people break free from years of stagnation and start growing within weeks. Why? Because they finally released their internal break. They finally started allowing the world to reflect the value they held within. It's as if suddenly they looked at themselves and said, "Enough, now I'm taking the wheel." I vividly remember someone who followed my teachings and, in an initial meeting, told me, "Bob, my life isn't moving forward. It feels like I have a blockage." And she did indeed have one, but it wasn't financial or professional, it was emotional. She believed that prosperity would push away the people she loved. And every time she got close to improving her life, something would happen, and she'd return to the same spot. When she changed that belief, within 6 months, her professional life soared, her income increased, and most importantly, she maintained the relationships that mattered. Nothing was lost, and she realized something essential. Prospering doesn't diminish you, it expands you. And you might be asking yourself, how do I start? And my answer is simple yet powerful. Stop asking the world for permission and start giving yourself permission. No one will look at you and say, now you deserve to prosper. That must come from within. You are the one who must decide that you are enough, that you have worth, that your history doesn't define your future, that your origin doesn't limit your destiny. Because when you change the way you see yourself, the universe has to adjust. Opportunities, people, doors, and everything starts to appear because you've finally stopped hiding. Now imagine something with me. What if, 1 year from now, you look back and realize this exact moment was the turning point? And what if today was the day you finally decided to let go of old beliefs? And what if today was the day you said, with conviction, I deserve to prosper? What would your life be like 12 months from now? Lighter, freer, more authentically yours? I want to leave you with one final challenge, simple yet transformative. Every day for 30 days before you start your day, say aloud, I am worthy. I deserve to prosper. My life is expanding. But don't just say it, feel it, visualize it, breathe in this truth. Because repetition creates belief, and belief creates reality. You are not here by chance. None of this content reached you by accident. If something within you awakened while listening, then know this. There is already a part of you ready for the next level. And it's just waiting for you to say yes. Life doesn't reward those who wish. It rewards those who decide. And if you decide today, the entire world can reorganize itself based on that decision. Prosperity isn't out there. It's in here, and it always has been. And so we continue together on this journey of continuous evolution, understanding more and more that nothing changes externally until something changes internally. When you begin to apply these principles consciously, consistently, and emotionally aligned, everything transforms. Your mindset, your actions, your results, and the way life responds to you. If this content resonated and touched something within you, share this video with a special person who deserves to hear this message and who might be ready to take the next step towards their own potential. I'll see you at our next meeting.